Alright guys, and welcome to today's live stream. And again, I will take our presentation first, and afterwards I will basically answer questions on being asked in on my YouTube videos. And last thing, I will check out the chat box and get back to you on the live questions. And for you guys who do stick to the end, I'm going to give away a bonus today as well, so that you can implement basically in your hearing strategy. And it is about bonus about inflammation, right? How to address inflammation if it's caused by internal factors. This is actually the strategies that you can implement right away in your hearing treatment. So, all right. So I will just start with the presentation first. Today is quite a short presentation. I didn't have time to make a longer one, but it is important one, and I think it will be very useful for you kind of understand the loss from different angles. All right. So I can start with the first one. Is basically one of the guys in the program or subscriber as well on YouTube. He basically found a blog about me in the blog of Balding blog, transplant surgeon in the United States who runs this blog, and he talks basically about my results from Finasteride, and he mentions that I had some minor recession on the right corner of the hairline. Marked with an arrow, but this was basically a picture of me when I had sold my worst hair loss after taking Finasteride for around 7-8 months. Right? So this is actually not the baseline pictures, because baseline pictures was like this. Right? So this is actually a place where I was actually happy with my hair. Right? And he compares my hair back then and compares to basically my hair back on last summer, like 12 years later. So. And this was basically my situation on the baseline before I started with Finasteride. And this was my hair after 4 months of taking Finasteride. All right, you can clearly see what happens to my hair. Right? And again, like I've been talking about previously, there is a difference between regrowth from minoxidil and Finasteride. Right? This looks different. Like with Finasteride, you get like a thickness, you get more more hairs from the same hair follicle, so it appears thicker, but with minoxidil actually is new hair regrowth, right? So there's a kind of different mechanism behind it, right? But in this stage, or this time, I was just taking Finasteride, right? And plus several other things like diet changes and different shampoos and so on, and supplements. So this was 4 months later, and this was basically around 7 months later, right? So this is a picture he did use of me in his blog when he was talking about my results, and this was not the baseline picture. This is 7 months later, right? So I was basically super happy with my hair back then at this stage. Right? And again, you can see how 7 months Finasteride regrowth should look like, right? Like it was no longer perfect; it was still a lot of gaps there. And like if I look at the picture now, I do see that there was a lot of issues going on. But at that time, I was very happy because my hair before was like this, right? So it was huge improvement. So that was different. And again, he didn't get a full picture about my situation back 12 years ago when I was having a first regrowth of Finasteride. All right. So that was one thing I wanted to kind of mention for you guys. Another thing was I got a question about how my hair did look like when they were short. Right? There were some of you who was wondering how it actually looked like. And this is my hair back in 2011 when I did cut my hair short because I was having scalp inflammation. And this is basically how my hair looked like at that time. Right? At that time, I didn't use any minoxidil or microneedling. So this was basically results of Finasteride after I kind of was addressing my scalp inflammation with steroid creams, cortisol creams. Again, one more picture just to show you what it looked like. Right? This is my situation with short hair. All right, and again, one more. So. Right, so nowhere near perfect, right? Because there were still gaps and things going on, right? And I was just addressing my inflammation with steroid creams at that time. So. All right, and the other thing I wanted to mention is basically one of the guys in the program who was in my program like 2 years ago. He ran into trouble, and I want to kind of share what happened to him. And basically, what happened is that he was having very good results from the program, and then what happened is that he got problems with his scalp conditions. And because of his scalp conditions, he started to lose hair again. And basically what happened is that this was his here in January this year, beginning of January or end of January, 2021. And just to show you a bit closer up, his temples and hairline, right? Quite nice after 2 years of the program, right? So this is the results. And then what happened is that he sent me a message like almost a month ago that he had a problem, right? He was losing hair on the temples and hairline, and fast. Like you can see that it was receding fast. And this is what happens when there is some kind of scalp problems, right? And then basically what happens is the hair starts to fall out, and especially in temples and hairline, because those areas are often the weakest areas for all of us, right? Like for some, of course, it can be a crown or mid scalp, but for most of the guys who I have been talking with, who are in my program, they usually have issues on temples and hairline, and it's all usually is basically best way to look for if there is a problem. So in this guy case, he sent me this pictures in around 3 weeks, 1 month ago, in June 16, and you can see the gaps already was happening, right? Things were going not the right direction compared to this situation here. Perfect hairline, perfect hair structure, and all this stuff. And basically, I addressed his scalp problems, his scalp conditions that was causing his problem. And after like this Sunday, he sent me a picture back that everything was going in the right direction again, right? You can see basically if you are able to find the right problems that is actually causing your hair loss, you can see how fast you can actually improve the situation, right? If you can laser target what is actually a problem, you can solve this problem fast and efficient, right? If you don't know what is the problem, then it takes weeks, it can take months, and even longer before you actually are able to find out what's happening and basically start to get back a progression, right? But in this guy's case, we did solve problem fast, and he was able to basically have a very nice recovery very quickly, right? This is the ideal situation. You want to find what is the problem fast. Is it scalp conditions? Is it some kind of internal factors? Is it some kind of allergic? Or is it something else, right? Like a lifestyle thing or something, right? What could be causing issue, right? And in this guy case, it was basically his scalp conditions. It was a problem, and you can see basically how it was around 1 month ago and how it is now, right? Clear difference in such a short time. All right, and the next one I want to talk about is basically, and I guess most of you guys have been seeing it before, but it basically shows like how long time it takes to start to see or start to notice blockage of DHT when you take Finasteride and Dutasteride, and it's around 4 weeks, right? And that's why basically you most likely still will have a shedding for the first 4 weeks when you start with the pill, either with possibly a bit faster or reductions the shedding faster a bit with Dutasteride than Finasteride, but still it is around 4 weeks time frame you need to look for, right? So basically, I get a lot of questions from the guys who have started with Finasteride or Dutasteride and taking it for 1 week, 2, 3 weeks, and they have a lot of shedding, right? And this is what happens because it hasn't kicked in yet, and the hair basically can't keep shedding because they have been affected to DHT, right? And this is basically the graph shows. So basically, if you have taken it for 4 weeks, then you should kind of see lower amount of shed after that, right? So after 4 weeks period, sheds should start decrease, and after 6 weeks onwards, the shed should basically be decreased to minimal, right? And if the shed is still there, if it still continues, that means basically there is something else that is going on that needs to be addressed, right? Because after 6 weeks, shed should be minimal, right? Because you are blocking DHT, and as you can see in the graph as well, right, your DHT levels are low. And the other thing is basically like for you guys who wonder how to calculate your DHT levels and understand if Finasteride is working, basically you need to look at it in a perspective from total testosterone, right? And this guy here, for example, he has testosterone at 580, right? And when his DHT levels is 58.3, right? And basically what it means that DHT levels are 10 to 15% of total testosterone levels, right? 580, and that's around 10%. And you can see it's basically 58.3. And the range is between 30 and 85. And the range basically range is the same for all of us, but it's like the way they measure units is different from different countries, right? So that's a difference in those results. But when he started to take Finasteride, after around 3.5 weeks, almost 4 weeks, his DHT dropped down to 0.1, right? And that's a reduction of 70% from 0.3. So basically it shows that Finasteride is working, it has kicked in, and you most likely will see a reduction in hair shedding as well. Right? So this is basically just example for you guys how to calculate actually those levels. If you do take a hormonal test and you see what kind of amount of testosterone, total testosterone you are having, and what kind of DHT basically you should have, right? And how much it should be reduced if you do take, let's say, finasteride or natural DHT blocker for that matter. So, because again, natural DHT blockers also do work, right? They just don't kind of block that much DHT compared to, for example, drugs like finasteride. And I did talk about it in previous videos also. All right, that was about presentation. And now I will take up and check up the questions you have been asking on YouTube channel, the comments, and afterwards. So basically, the first question is about, I'm in 5 months of minoxidil application, and suddenly I started having shedding since last week. Is it normal? What should I do? Like, ideally, there should not be any additional shedding when you have been on minoxidil for 5 months. Shedding should have slowed down and stopped by now, right? And if there is shedding that is happening, it's most likely it is caused by something else. Again, you need to make sure and find out what could be a cause of that shed, right? And you need to solve it, because the shed should not be happening after 5 months of applying minoxidil on a daily basis. And each time I was having some issues with shedding over the years, it's always because something else is happening. Like either I have blocked DHT, or I have some scalp inflammation or dermatitis, or I have done some lifestyle things, like, for example, not sleeping enough can affect shedding. Right? So you need to basically troubleshoot to find out what has happened basically for last week. What could have caused your shed, because there should not be any shedding. So. All right. Other question is about, can I eat creatine supplements along with applying minoxidil solution to my hair? Ideally not, because, for example, what I have noticed is that in my case, I always shed here when I take creatine supplements. Right? And it doesn't matter, even if I take finasteride, I still shed here if I take creatine. So ideally, you should avoid creatine and find other ways to build muscles, right? Because creatine, I have found, is not good for my hair. And this is like a pattern I have noticed for other guys as well in my program, and also guys who contact me on YouTube or send me emails. It's often a problem to take creatine supplements. All right, the next one is about, have you used microneedling for regrow? Yes, I have. That's basically things that basically grow back my hair in combination with minoxidil. Next one, is it possible to reverse minor hair loss with just derma roller on hairline? Yes, answer is it is possible, definitely. Hey Alex, can I stop minoxidil and switch to fin? Again, like if you have been using minoxidil for some time, let's say for 1 month, 2 months or longer, then you need to start to top it down, right? If you have been using it just for 2-3 weeks, then you can stop with it and it won't be any problem. But if you have been using for a longer time, then basically if you stop with it right away, it will have a shedding effect. But if you top it down over time, then the shedding effect or the shedding risk won't happen, right? Basically because you just make kind of light overturn to finasteride. Right? And I remember the finasteride and minoxidil work differently, and it's not the same thing. Right? One blocks DHT, another is growth hormones. Next one is about, what shampoo do you use to prevent scalp inflammation? If ketoconazole, what percentage do you use and how many times a week? Like, again, I haven't had any inflammation in my scalp because I address inflammation from all the kind of angles. And if you address it, you won't need to have ketoconazole to kind of apply something to the scalp, right? Because ketoconazole is useful if you have fungal issues on the scalp or bacterial problems, but if you have other types of inflammations, then it's not that useful. And I have been using Revita, I have been using Regipor, Polygon, right? There are several different brands. I personally don't like Nicerol because I feel that it dries out my hair too much, but I have used it of course as well, but lighter version, I would say, like Regipor DR is a good option, right? And they do contain 1% ketoconazole. So, and for me, when I was having inflammation, it was enough to address my problems. All right, next one is, hey Alex, can I take finasteride together with sulfametol together for better results? No, it's not necessary, right? If you do take finasteride, then basically you have addressed DHT angle already, right? And finasteride, if you take it, let's say at 0.5, like I take on daily basis, then it blocks around 70% DHT, and supplemental blocks just around 30% DHT. So there is no kind of need to combine them. Right? If you can just take one of them, and it should be like in the case of finasteride, it should be enough. So. Hey Alex, can videos here grow from minoxidil? Yes, of course. That's a kind of first signs that you see the things are improving. If you see videos here growing out when you have been applying minoxidil for, let's say, for 10, 12 weeks. Does it matter if you reapply minoxidil in the morning or before you go to bed? Like I prefer to apply it once a day in the evening, a few hours before I go to sleep, because when you apply it in the morning, what happens is that you can get sweat on the scalp, you can get rain on the scalp, or something else can happen, right? And it can affect observation and basically make minoxidil less effective. So that's why I like to apply a few hours before sleep, and then I'm sure that nothing will happen to my scalp because I'm sleeping, right? So that has been the best way I have found for me, right? All right. Can finasteride alone fix DOPA hair loss? No, it cannot. You need to address and find out what is actually causing your DOPA conditions. Like I remember, I was a few weeks ago, I did a video on my issues when I was having DOPA on my sides, and it was basically because of vitamin D deficiency, because I was not having good enough diet, and also was not having enough sunlight. So that was causing my DOPA situation. And when I sold it, I was able to grow back here by itself. All right. How many times a week do you use dermal and what length? I use it daily at 1.5, but again, I do it for observation. And I see next question is about, do you apply minoxidil right away after microneedling? Yes, I do that, right? But I do microneedling for observation. I don't do it for wounding. And if you do it for wounding, then you cannot do it daily, and you cannot apply minoxidil right away, right? Because the wounding will cause microinflammation, and if you apply minoxidil on it, it will make things worse, right? And possibly lead to other issues. So if you do for observation, microneedling for observation, then it's different, right? If you do it for wounding, then basically you need to wait at least 1 day or 24 hours before you can apply topical things in your scalp, and you cannot do it daily. All right. Next question is about, do you feel any difference in mood and energy when you take finasteride and when you take a break from it? No, for me, it's no difference. And I do take a break from finasteride once or twice a year, right, for around 1 to 2 weeks. And there is no difference. I haven't noticed any change regarding my mood or my energy levels. All right, let's see, next one. Is there any problem using minoxidil foam in the morning and minoxidil liquid in the night at the same time, both in the same concentration of 5%? Again, I prefer to do it just once a day, and all my results came just from applying it once a day. So I don't think it's necessary to apply twice a day. If you apply enough once a day to cover all the thinning areas or places you want to grow back your hair, it should be enough to just apply it once a day. So you don't need to apply twice a day. And of course, other thing is that most likely you want to use foam in the morning because it makes hair a bit styled, and that's fine. But like I said, applying it once a day should be enough. You don't need to do it twice. All right. Next question is about what food should I avoid if I have seborrheic dermatitis. Like again, you need to avoid basically sugar. You need to avoid most likely chocolate, coffee, right? Things that can trigger fungus and the bacteria problems in your scalp, right? So you need to basically find out foods that are not good for you, not good for your immune system, can possibly affect your seborrheic dermatitis and make it worse. So you need to avoid them. So. All right. So those were the questions. Now I will also add the bonus videos that I plan to add to your today's live stream, and after check up questions you have been asking in the stream directly. So, all right, here is a bonus video. And this bonus video basically is something that I have in my program, and basically for you guys, I think it will be very useful to implement it and check it out because it can help you with your scalp inflammation. So it's about what treatment works for diffuse hair fall and thinning in females. Again, it's you need to check up possible like what could be possible root cause of your hair loss, right? You need to find out what is a possible driver, what makes your hair fall out in the first place. And let's say if it is actually thinning because of female pattern baldness, then you need to basically check your hormones. You need to also check most likely your iron levels. There are several different things that can cause it. When you have basically addressed all of them, then you need to basically do the same thing as I do. For example, this minoxidil and microneedling to grow it back. So let's see. Next one is how many times use shampoo per week? I use it daily. I feel that if I use it daily, my scalp basically is not getting inflamed, and I also kind of keep a healthy scalp environment. And basically, the shampoo you need to use is from your scalp conditions, right? Your skin type and scalp conditions basically determine what kind of shampoo you can use. Right? Like if you have different oily skin types, then you need to use different shampoos than if you have dry skin type, right? So you basically need to find out if your skin type is sensitive or normal, right? And from that on, build a structure what shampoo is best for you. This is the best way to do it, not just find some random shampoos that everyone else is using and use it. And you actually need to find a shampoo that is best for your skin conditions. So, all right. Which diet changes you recommend? Again, you need to find out what foods are triggering possible problems for you, right? And find out them and restructure the diet from the ground up. Let's say if you do scalp inflammation or you have some issues that are causing your or foods that are causing more shedding, you need to basically find what foods are those and remove them from your diet. So, and those things are basically personalized, right? It's different for everyone also. All right, next one. Question about how long finasteride works. Again, finasteride works as long as you take it, right? And I have been taking it now for 13 years, and it still works for me to block DHT. It doesn't stop working. It just basically, if it stops working, it's because of something else. Either there is some issues with lifestyle or inflammation, dermatitis, allergies, or something that is causing additional problems. So you need to find out what could be a cause, and when you solve the cause, finasteride works again. So. Let's see. I read that one of the guys, his name Marco, says that he has been taking Dutasteride daily, and after 4 months, Mark made his vision blurry. Take Finasteride, microdose it weekly as possible, microdose on Dutasteride also. With Dutasteride is a bit challenging to microdose it because it's a gel pill, right? And the only way to microdose it basically is to take it less frequent, right? Because if you do take, like I did read some time ago studies that showed that one could take Dutasteride once a week, for example, and in combination with Finasteride on other days, and it would have good effect. So that would be one possibility, take it less frequent. But again, if you do feel that you did notice side effects from Dutasteride, the best thing is that you should be careful with it, right? Because Dutasteride is much more potent than Finasteride. So, all right, next question is about is PRP any good? Again, I did consider it kinda in 2018. I didn't do it, and from the guys who I've been speaking to over the years, is that like out of all of them, there are just only few who actually had good effects from PRP, right? So basically, PRP can work for some, but it's very few, right? So I would say that it's better off with just applying minoxidil or other growth stimulants. Question about rosemary oil and does it work to slow down hair loss or regrow hair? Again, it's there is some studies that shows that rosemary oil can have effect. I personally haven't tried it, but I know that there are some who use it and they claim that it do help for them. If you would use rosemary oil, make sure that you dilute it. Make sure that you maybe add some more different other hard solutions or extracts to it to make it more potent. I don't think rosemary alone is enough to address these problems. Question about do you think scalp massage makes any difference? Again, if your hair loss is started just recently, and if you know the cause of it, then you could try scalp massage, right? But if the hair loss is advanced and it has been going on for a long time, and possibly there are other issues like inflammation, dermatitis, then scalp masks won't be that useful anymore. So. All right, the next one is about question about would you recommend taking a 0.5 mg of finasteride at age 19? I have adrenal alopecia of hair loss, temples, and thinning crown. Like again, if you speak with your doctor about it and find out if your hormonal profile is okay, right, and find out how your DHT levels are, how sensitive are to it, and possibly in that case, if your doctor says it's okay, and you could try, but again, you could also try natural DHT blockers first, right? You don't need to jump on finasteride right away, because, for example, I know some guys who are able to stop progression with natural DHT blockers if they're not sensitive to DHTs. All right. Next one is I had amazing results from using topical finasteride and in 5 months. And you ask if the hair will stay. Yes, if you don't get any other issues on your scalp or internally, then hair will stay for sure. Like again, when I first did take finasteride, it did work very well for me for 2 years before I started to lose hair again, and it was because of scalp inflammation. Right? So basically, if you are able to keep yourself healthy, keep your scalp conditions in good shape, then basically those results won't fall out. Right? You will keep those regrowth from finasteride, or topical finasteride in your case. Question about is finasteride alone enough? Yes, if you don't have any other issues besides DHTs, then of course, because you just block DHT and DHT is causing you hair loss, then you block it, you will get results and keep them as long as there is nothing else that is causing your hair loss other than DHT. How many hairs normally shedding daily from Norwood area? Like again, shedding is something that is individual. Right? Several factors can play in. For some, shedding can be like, let's say, 50 plus hair after shower a lot, and for some it can be not that much, right? So it is kind of independent. What you need to look for is the trends and amount you are shedding. Like you need to basically make a reference point or reference time so that you test your shedding, right? And when you have reference, then you won't have like a random need to check out shedding, right? Because it's not accurate, but you need to have reference time when to check the shedding and basically see how many hairs, let's say, fall out after shower when you comb them before minoxidil application. Right? This is how I kind of check my shed. So, and if the amount increases or has increased, then I know that there is possibly a problem. And if it's the same then or decreased, then I know that everything is good and going in the right direction. So basically, you just look amount you are shedding, let's say, after shower before minoxidil application, and basically make a note and check that amount, let's say, over 1 week's time and see what happens. Right? This is a way to do it. So. All right. Started shedding a lot a year ago. I'm on finasteride for 5.5 months, and now shedding still haven't stopped. This is normal. No, it's not. Basically, it means that there is something else causing your shedding. Right? After 5.5 months, almost 6 months, shedding should be stopped by now. And as I did talk about previously, or at the beginning of the live stream, is that shedding from finasteride should stop after around 6 to 8 weeks of taking it. This is kind of normal time frame. If you still have shed after almost 6 months, that basically means that there is something else that is causing and is a problem. So let's see. Question about can you go back from Narod 4 to Narod 2? Yes, you can. Like this is basically what almost happened to me. Right? I was around Narod 3, I would say, but I had diffuse thinning, and it was pretty bad, but I was still able to have very nice recoveries. It's all about basically about finding out what is the root cause of your hair loss, solving that root cause, and making sure that you use a potent growth stimulants to get back your hair. So that's a secret how to do it. Question about what do you think about antioxidants? Is that you read a study that said that antioxidants makes hair follicle stronger? Yes, antioxidants is something that I do take as well. Like I personally take antioxidant like LA, but it's antioxidants that can be problematic for some, right? So you need to be basically careful what kind of antioxidants you take. But I have found it quite useful for my situation regarding hair loss and different other things like weight loss as well. So, let's see. Next one is about is it okay to make topical finasteride with minoxidil? Yes, it is possible way to do it. I personally, I'm not a big fan of minoxidil, but if you want to, you can just mix them together, and it most likely will work. So. Let's see, question about minoxidil or finasteride, which is better. Again, those are both different ways to address hair loss. Minoxidil is growth stimulant and finasteride is DHT blocker. That's different between them. Let's see, hey, do you use any natural oils? No, I don't use oils on my scalp that much because I don't need to. Because when you basically take breaks from microneedling and your scalp is healthy, there won't be need to apply any oils. And I don't use oils to grow stimulate my hair because I use minoxidil for it. Let's see. I will take a couple more questions before we end today. Can I use finasteride with minoxidil? Yes, this is what I did to get back my hair. So it definitely works. Is dermalating useful? Yes, of course. It will basically make minoxidil more effective. How do you know if hair loss is due to scalp inflammation or due to DHT? Again, if you block DHT and the hair loss is still there, it doesn't reduce. That basically means that your hair loss is because of scalp inflammation. Right? And again, if you take or block DHT and your hair loss slows down, then you know that okay, it is because of DHT. Very simple. All right, guys, this was all for today. Again, check out the bonus videos that I did add. I can re-add it now. It's here. All right. And for you guys who want to know more about my program or possibly join it, you can schedule a call here in this link. And thanks for attending, and we speak soon. Cheers.